Hey everyone, Scott here to discuss Wish I Was Here, starring Zach Braff, Josh Gad, Ashley Greene, Kate Hudson, and Mandy Patinkin, excuse me if I said that wrong, directed by Zach Braff. Wait, where is it? Wait. And before I get into this, I have seen this movie before, but is it the same as I remember? Let's get into it and find out. Aiden Bloom, played by the star, writer, and director Zach Braff, is a family man in Los Angeles with a wife named Sarah, played by Kate Hudson, and two daughters, Grace, played by Joey King, and son Tucker, as well as a struggling actor, as Sarah works at a water job, at the water company, and she's dissatisfied with it because of her cubicle partner sexually harassing her, and Grace and Tucker are dropped off at school by Aiden and Rabbi Rosenberg as he gets to an audition for a role that is only for an African American male, along with Paul, played by Bazinga, said by Sheldon from The Big Bang Theory himself, Jim Parsons. And I like these characters as they're absolutely relatable. Aiden's father, Gabe, is dying from cancer as it grows bigger and bigger and says he can't afford school because he has to pay out his treatment, while Aiden's family watches over his doggy, while Aiden goes to his brother Noah, played by Josh Gad, and tells him Gabe is dying, this time from cancer, and Noah can't help Aiden out and tells him to fuck off, while Aiden and Sarah talk about how to school the kids, and Aiden sees Rabbi Twersky telling him his father can't afford school anymore and asks Twersky about tzedakah. And he says no, like Noah did, and he says God wants him to rely on his family. This happens in life as Aiden and Grace and Tucker are out of school, and this is a bit dramatic for a dark comedy, which isn't the best thing in my opinion. Sarah gets clothes from Grace that is colorful, but she is too embarrassed. She says it's too embarrassing and doesn't want to wear it as Grace prays for her and for her father, getting a new job. And Noah's anti-depression goes away while Noah opens the door and Noah's neighbor Janine, played by Twilight's Ashley Greene, is so aggressive towards Noah while Gabe is talking with Aiden and tells him Sarah loves her job. And I'm like, yeah, bullshit. Because her cubicle partner is acting like a perverted asshole as Grace talks with a boy named Jesse, whom she wants to go out with, as Aiden watches them flirting with Grace. And believe it or not, she's flirting with him as well. As we move on to Aiden's homeschooling Grace and Tucker, and it doesn't go well, and the script does remind me of things that happen in real life, and the acting was pretty good, but it's not Garden State good. And Garden State is a better movie than this, in my opinion, on my memory. I might have to revisit that one day. Sarah comes home from work while Noah comes to the house and watches the kids for 3 hours while she goes out with Aiden, and they have their date and talk about their memories of when they first met, as they have an argument until Gabe is in the hospital, and Aiden and Sarah go visit him, and when they go back to the house, Grace cuts her hair, and I thought, what the fuck, when I first saw the hair getting chopped off, because she wanted to go back to school, as Grace says she's tired of Tucker teasing her about Jesse. But that's normal, and we get back to the hospital with the rabbis getting a folder to Aiden while his father is there, which is such bad timing right off the fucking bat. And I just get the impression that this isn't a dark comedy, as there's nothing funny about this material, as it's super fucking depressing. Aiden gets news of how the kids are scared and going through all of this shit, and they take out money of the swear jar that they provided for Aiden in the first place, as Aiden gives Sarah money from there. And he takes Grace and Tucker to a field trip to a canyon, and I was getting vibes from Martin McDonagh's Seven Psychopaths, because it was filmed there as well, where they're having s'mores, which sounds good to my stomach. Okay, back to the review. Well, Aiden looks at the papers from school, and next day comes, and Aiden gets an idea for Grace to pick out a wig that's unique and amazing, and she picks a purple wig while Sarah talks to her boss about her cubicle partner being in his inappropriate behavior, which is sexual harassment, and the cinematography is fine, but not great in my opinion. Aiden Grayson Tucker helped Noah build up a costume for Comic-Con, which is why Janine had that fluffy feet earlier in the film, and Noah says he doesn't want to see his father and say his goodbyes to him before he dies, which seems fucked up in so many ways. And Aiden, Grace, and Tucker go to Gabe's hospital room while he doesn't recognize Grace, and Sarah happens to be there, and he says things that are kind of insulting for the kids as they leave the room, and there was no humor going around. This was kind of dull. As we move on to Aiden going to church to see Rabbi Rosenberg and chats with him, and the writing in this is unfortunately did feel flat. Aiden, Grace, and Tucker go to Gabe's house and doesn't get rid of his fish tank as he doesn't feel right about throwing it out as they look at some old photographs, and they go to a place to test drive a car and encounter the salesman, Anthony, who's played by Donald Faison, who worked with Zach Braff on Scrubs, as he almost doesn't fall for the tricks, excuse me. And Aiden tells him, but he'll make an exception because he believes Grace is sick, while Gabe is visited by Sarah, and they talk about his sense of humor, and she brings up something funny he said before her sister died, which made her laugh, and she also says she loves his sister and she idolizes her and wishes she could still be alive, and he doesn't know how his sons think of him. Even Noah, who believes Gabe was not a good father to him. And I did like how Kate Hudson talks Gabe back up, as her acting was very relaxed in this scene, which is all I could give her for sure. But sadly, this sounds like I'm not really enjoying this movie by much, because I feel so bad for the characters, and I guess that's a good thing, but I feel kind of bad I'm not enjoying this movie. But I'm going to be honest and say I kind of didn't. Aiden and Tucker paints the fence like Daniel did to Mr. Miyagi's fence in the Karate Kid from the 1980s, and they're improving it as the family, while Sarah watches and she comforts him while he doesn't want to be comforted. And they kiss and have sexual intercourse as their chemistry is kind of cute, until she brings up her cubicle partner at work and how he's being inappropriate at work, and he wants to deal with the scumbag, but she tells him not to worry about it. Meanwhile, Gabe is back in the house with Aiden calming him down as he auditions for a role again with Paul. And for what little Bazinga does, it seems kind of pointless, and his scenes could have been edited out because he's on The Big Bang Theory and he's big from that. His role had to be kept in the movie. I mean, really, with that? Noah goes to his first San Diego Comic-Con dressed up as an astronaut from space and meets Janine, who's under the fluffy costume, and humps each other's asses, while Aiden gets a call about his father dying in seconds, and saying Gabe wants to apologize to both Noah and Aiden as he's interrupted by humping Janine's ass, and doesn't think he can encounter his father again. But Grace tells him to do so, which convinces him to come see his father, and they get to the grocery store and see Jerry, aka Sarah's cubicle partner, at work, and Aiden talks shit to Jerry, and Jerry punches Aiden in the face, and the motherfucker will get sued by Aiden for sexual harassment towards Sarah, and he gets back to Gabe minutes before his death, as he's not afraid of death, and Noah happens to show up before he passes away and apologizes to him about how he was a terrible father, which does feel awfully sad. While Noah won the best costume at San Diego Comic-Con, and they have Gabe's funeral, and he drops in his ashes in the beach, and Aiden bumps into Paul with the role he's been casted in because of Aiden and his advice, and he advises Aiden to become an acting teacher as Jerry gets fired from the water company where Sarah works at, as Aiden teaches Grace to swim for Jesse's birthday party. And Grace starts 7th grade along with Aiden teaching acting and happens to be there, and they perform in a play in which Aiden watches with Grace's successful swim lesson And the climax wasn't great, but how not great was this movie? Let's talk about it in a rating. I'll give this movie a 4.9 out of 10. I did like the characters as they're absolutely relatable, but this movie is a little dramatic for a dark comedy, which isn't the best thing, as the script did remind me of things that happen in real life. And the acting was pretty good, but it's not Garden State, which is a better movie than this in my memory, as I haven't seen it in a long time, but I'll probably revisit it one day. I get the impression that this isn't a dark comedy because there's nothing funny about this movie, as it's super fucking depressing. But this does things the normal way, which is somewhat good and bad. And the cinematography is fine, but not great in my opinion. And there was no humor for this movie, as it was kind of dull. The writing in this is unfortunately feeling flat, and this is not Zach Braff's best movie in my opinion, and this is a weak non-recommendation for this movie, because this is not a funny movie, but more of a sad movie. And I feel kind of bad I didn't like this movie, but I gotta be honest and say I didn't. But at the end of the day, it was not great. So I'd like to thank you guys for joining me for this review, and until next time, I wish I was here.